Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawud coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And citation, much love for Yakim, pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump to this here article real quick, where it says Putin heads to Tehran, which is in Iran, for talks with Iranian and Turkish leaders. It says the trilateral talks will focus on Syria, but other key issues will also be addressed in the Iranian capital, the Kremlin has said. Russian President Vladimir Putin is scheduled to arrive in Tehran on Tuesday for talks with the Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi and Turkish leader Recep Tayyip Erdogan. It will be his second foreign trip since the launch of the Russian military operation in Ukraine on February 24th. In late June, he visited Turkmenistan and Tajikistan to meet with the country's leaders and attend the Sixth Caspian Summit, which Iran also took part. All right, and as you can see, Ezekiel 38 is coming into play here. All right, not just with this here article, but with other topics as well too, like the BRICS nations coming together. More nations trying to join that and everything else like that. You also see Psalms 2, all right, coming into play with these why do the heathens rage? Jockeying for position. All right. It says the trilateral negotiations. Wait, where are we at? Yeah, the trilateral negotiations in the Iranian capital will be held as part of the so-called Astana peace process, which was launched by Moscow, Tehran, and Ankara in 2017 with the aim to achieve a peaceful settlement to the conflict in Syria. And what comes to mind when nations say peace and safety, then shall come sudden destruction. Just looking at this spiritually, as these nations are coming together, and you have Turkey in there, which is a NATO ally, but as they're making more and more deals with Russia, which is if Turkey's on the allied side of the so-called NATO bloc, all right, their enemy is who? Is Russia, all right, but they're making deals with Russia over here, talking about they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. All right. It says, according to the Kremlin, the three heads of the state will discuss steps to fully eradicate the hotbed of international terrorism in the country, and the facilitation of the inter-Syrian peace process, and the solutions to humanitarian issues, including post-conflict reconstruction. Now, not to go too far into this, but when you go into who these so-called terrorists was funded by over there in Syria and everything else like that. You can go back to the Benghazi situation with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. You'll figure out exactly who those people are that's over there and who they're really trying to get rid of. All right. And, that's just another play like how America was trying to take Venezuela. The same thing that America was doing over there in Syria. It's like the old mob tactic. All right. They're trying to extort you as a business owner. What do? They go over there and they break out your windows, rob your store. All right, then they offer you what? Protection. Hey, pay us for protection, and we'll make sure that nobody robs your store. This and that. Well, really, there's no threat out there. You're the one that's causing the threat out there. They're causing us to go over here and pay for these things, man. So America does the same thing. They go over there and arm people and create coups to overthrow government. So what? They can come in and create order out of chaos. Bring quote unquote stabilization to a destabilized area. All right, but hey, Russia wasn't with that, man. All right. It says Putin, Raisi, Erdogan will issue a joint statement after the negotiations. Russian President aide Yuri Ulikov said on Monday, adding that the draft is being prepared. Bilateral talks between the leaders will also take place while Putin is also expected to meet with Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. During the meeting, the Russian president and his interlocutors will discuss the situation around the stalled talks on restoring Iran's nuclear deal. All right. And when they talk about the nuclear deal, don't get it twisted. It's not talking about creating nuclear bombs as the West would have you understand. All right. This is for nuclear power plants, for energy. All right. These nations, they don't really build nuclear bombs like that. They just buy them from Russia or America. Well, in this case, they would be buying them from Russia. It says trade will be on the agenda while Moscow and Tehran preparing for a major cooperation deal. Yukov said, Iran is an important partner of Russia. All right, in which we can read about that in Ezekiel 38. All right, they call it Persia. All right, our relations are friendly and have centuries-old history, and are developing very effectively in many areas. Both sides have planned to take bilateral cooperation to a new level, the level of strategic partnership he pointed out. So again, the vision's yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. So, even though you don't see Ezekiel 38 just, snap your fingers and then it's all going into play. Hey, you see the hooks being put into the Russian jaws, all right? Going back to that Soviet state, as far as gathering certain nations back onto them, all right, like i.e. the Ukrainian situation, but that was being provoked by America to begin with, all right? But hey, now Russia's saying, hey, we need them back. We can't allow y'all to have a NATO on our borders, all right? But then you also see in Russia arming these other nations, all right, coming together as a conglomeration. It says Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov, who earlier gave an interview to the Iranian media, said trade between Russia and Iran has surpassed $4 billion in 2021 and grew by 31% for the first time in the first 4 months of this year. With Russia and Iran, and again, looking at these trade deals and things like that, with all these sanctions that they're putting on Russia, hey, Russia still has ways to be making money. So, only the West is feeling the so-called effects of the sanctions that they put on Russia. It's just straight blowback. Russia's still making money. They're not being fazed by these things. It says, while Russia and Iran is being among the most sanctioned nations in the world, Peskov expressed confidence that the two countries would be able to build relations that will allow them to minimize the effect of international restrictions on their economies. And we can see how that plays out now. It says, when it comes to Ukraine, Iran Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdalian has made it clear that Tehran would not provide assistance to any side of the conflict, as it believes that the conflict has to be stopped. By saying so, the minister refuted the U.S. claims that his country was planning to provide Russia with hundreds of drones, including combat drones. At the same time, Rossi has said that the multiple occasions that Tehran stands ready to contribute to diplomatic resolutions in the Ukrainian conflict. Now, real quick, speaking on this drone situation that they have in Iran, all right, Iran has, it's not the drones that they try to necessarily get or anything else like that. Anybody can make drones, but they have the technology more, let's say the computer software, we'll put it that way, all right, for what they call swarm technology, all right? They got like these, you'll have a bunch of swarms of little boats that'll roll up on you real quick, and, they all got like grenade launchers or rocket launchers on there. You got a fleet of 100 little small boats, like let's say little fisherman boats come swarming out at your ass, man. All right, what you gonna do about that, man? All right, small little planes come dive bombing on you or something like that, man. So they have this swarm technology where, you can have maybe, a few controllers control a big fleet of whatever you weaponize as a drone, all right? But they've had this technology for quite a while, man, all right? It says at the same time, Rossi says on multiple occasions that Tehran stands ready to contribute to a diplomatic resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. Putin's bilateral meeting with Erdogan is expected to touch on issues of Ukrainian grain exports from the Black Sea ports, according to Yuskov. Turkey, which declares itself a neutral country when it comes to the situation in Ukraine, has been engaged in various issue-resolving initiatives, and it recently hosted a multilateral consultations on the grain issue with participation of Russia, Ukraine, and the United Nations. Food security was also one of the main subjects on the phone conversation between Putin and Erdogan last week. The Turkish leader said that at the time that it was time for the United Nations to make an action for the plan regarding the formation of secure corridors via the Black Sea, and March in Istanbul hosted a critical round of peace negotiations between Kiev and Moscow, all right, in which, the West isn't happy with that. Again, Turkey is a part of NATO, all right, and, NATO's whole goal is to get up into, the borders of Russia, all right, to surround them, to minimize, to cut them off, all right. This is Ezekiel 38, chapter verse 1. It says, and the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth all thy army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all them handling swords. All right, so hey, that goes into, you're starting to see these old USSR nations being pulled back into Russia one way or another. At first, like the scripture also say, the visions yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. At first you didn't see Russia wasn't really going for these, how do I say, these ex-Soviet states and things like that. They wasn't really in a situation to just go start, contrary to the story that's being told. Russia's not just going out and what they call annexing these nations like that, man. But what happens, America goes over there and, set up a coup, overthrow the democratically elected government over there, set up their own puppet, all right, then make agreements with NATO, bring weapons over there, force Russia to defend themselves. Now, when they're in the sense of defending themselves, they're not going to just, obviously the West is not going to stop. All right, you see what they're doing. They keep arming and arming and arming. So what? Forcing Russia to ultimately annihilate them over there, take back over there. All right, then bring them back into what? The USSR state, man. Bring them back up under Russia. You know what? Y'all no longer a sovereign country. We're going to just have to bring y'all into Russia. We run y'all now. All right, because y'all couldn't play fair by yourself. Y'all allow these people to come in and take over the country. And then now what? You got missiles on our border. We know what they're trying to do, man. All right, same thing you see going on with Taiwan over there, man. All right, so this is, these are the snares that America's laying into the ground. It's going to cause them to be brought out to the border, man, for World War III. All right. Let me read verse 4 again. Ezekiel 38:4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy army. Horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmet. Gomer and all his bands in the house of Tomargoth, the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. All right, going into, Turkey. So you see these nations are already being prepared, and making deals right about now, man. To do what? To fulfill prophecy, man. All right, as we're getting, measuring the time diligently, we can see we're getting closer and closer and closer to the end, man. All right. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all the company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. And again, we're seeing that, as Russia is developing more and more of these, battle-tested weapons, whether it be the S-500 is for defense, all right. And, they talk about these bucklers and shields, the helmets, these missile defense systems. Turkey got the S-400 from Russia, all right. But, Russia's also developing what, or putting into combat hypersonic missiles, all right, nuclear-powered cruise missiles, all right, the Sarmat 2 missile, all right, or the Satan 2 missile, and all these different things. They're putting these weapons in a combat role, man. All right. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare thyself. Prepare for thyself, thou and all the company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. And so again, that's what you're starting to see happen right now. Let me go into Jeremiah 50:3. It says, for out of the north cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove both man and beast. All right. So, hey, again, coming up out of the north, speaking on Russia. There's another one I want to read. I think it's verse 9. This is the one I wanted to read. Verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. So again, it says, for lo, I will raise the cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations. All right. Let me read that in NLT. For I am raising up an army of great nations from the north. They will join forces to attack Babylon. She will be captured. The enemy's arrows will go straight to the mark. They will not miss. And as you see right now, Russia is, again, as we read in this here article between Iran and Turkey, all right, making more negotiations. And really, Turkey's already in that sweet spot with deals with Russia already, man. All right. Then you also see these nations coming together, forming more and more nations into the BRICS nations, man. All right. So all the way around, however you look at it, militarily, economically, all right, resource wise, all right, all these, different nations are coming together. And guess who's, in the middle of all these things, man? All right. It's Russia. All right. This is verse 23 or 22. It says, the sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? All right. And, ultimately the Lord is raising up the spirit of the kings, to turn whethersoever he will. And one of those major kings is what? Russia. All right. And not only that, the how you can read in, was that Job 18, I believe it is, where, you know, the Lord is also working on the minds of these Western kings, you know, the NATO and the EU, giving their power over to America for America to follow out after whatever America does. And what is America doing, man? Laying their own snares into the ground and getting caught by their own traps, man. What are they out here doing? They're making these deals that's doing what? Just raising up militaries around the earth to put themselves in a battle position against them, man. All right, you think that any of this would be going on if it wasn't for how you call it, America meddling in Ukraine? All right, verse 24: I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. All right, and so, hey, this is what these Edomites over here in Babylon the Great has been doing, man, trying to play God the whole time, man. All right, going against the Most High's will. All right, verse 25: Yahweh hath opened up his armory and have brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of Yahweh of hosts in the land of the Chaldees. All right, to do what? To destroy it off the well, let me read the next verse. Come against her from the uttermost borders, open the storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly, let nothing be left in her. All right, so ultimately, this is the game plan for America, man, to be utterly destroyed, man. All right, and the Lord is working on the minds of the kings. We'll close out with that. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. So, hey, you know, the Lord is working on the minds of these kings and having them do deals, you know, with one another. All right, raising them all up to do what? To basically go under that umbrella of Russia. All right, whilst, you know, America is plotting on Russia actively. All right, now what? Russia is turning their military and their missiles, aiming them towards where? America, man. All right, so, hey, we see the days are getting closer and closer and closer and closer to what? World War III, man. All right, so Lord's will, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, great millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And citation, much love for you. I can push in truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.